What's up guys, today I explain you. Could Yorichi solo the upper rank demons? And don't forget to like this video, subscribe this channel. Now have fun with the video. Sasuke Uchiha is one of the mightiest characters in the Naruto franchise, and Naruto's biggest rival as well. While Naruto and Sasuke consider each other brothers, they have always had a friendly rivalry throughout the series. Although not as apparent, this rivalry also continues into the Boruto series, as was pointed out by the two themselves of the beating Momoshiki. Naturally, fans have always wondered about who the stronger one of the two is in Boruto. Naruto and Sasuke have been neck and neck for the vast majority of the series, but there have been instances where one has pulled ahead of the other, and then the other has had to catch up. Something similar has happened in Boruto recently, and it is all but confirmed that Sasuke Uchiha is now the stronger one of the two and that he has finally surpassed Naruto for good. After the events of the Fourth Great Ninja War, it was easy for the fans to see that Naruto Uzumaki had surpassed Sasuke and was much stronger. In fact, even in the war, Naruto's performance was much better, and the consensus was that he was stronger. This was clear from the final fight between the two, where Sasuke had to rely on the power of the tailed beasts in order to match Naruto's own strength, and yet, he still couldn't win the battle. Furthermore, Naruto was fighting in the war for much longer than Sasuke, and yet he managed to put out a fantastic showing against him and eventually matched him in battle. Following the war, things got even more complicated as Sasuke lost one hand which had weakened him in combat somewhat, due to his disability. Meanwhile, Naruto gained a new arm, but his major power did not just include another arm. In fact, he also got the other half of Kurama, which was sealed outside his body during his battle against Sasuke. A half Kurama is a major power buff for him, and it was clear for the fans to see that he had now reached an even higher level of power. For Sasuke, this didn't bode well because he was clearly not up to Naruto's power level. But a statement from the Boruto era essentially confirms that both of them were equal in terms of power during this time. This means that during the blank period, Sasuke trained his mind and body so hard that even with his disability, he was able to match the 7th Hokage for good. At the beginning of Boruto, Naruto and Sasuke are equal in strength, and this is confirmed by the author himself. But the same cannot be said for the story moving forward. There have been ups and downs in terms of power levels, especially in the case of Sasuke, and this is extremely apparent in the major battle against Ishiki. While Naruto and Sasuke started the Boruto series as equals, which is something Kishimoto confirmed himself, this parity wasn't maintained right up until the end. In the battle against Jigen, both Naruto and Sasuke were humiliated, and whereas Naruto Uzumaki was sealed, Sasuke made it out successfully. Thanks to Team 7, Naruto was successfully rescued, and after that, a battle against Ishiki Otsutsuki was triggered by none other than Koji. This was an incredibly exciting fight, where both Naruto and Sasuke were getting overwhelmed right from the get-go. Ishiki's powers proved to be too great for either of them to contend with, that is, until Naruto tapped into the power of Baryon mode. Once Naruto utilized Baryon mode, it was essentially impossible for Ishiki to do anything against him. Naruto was far better than him, as was confirmed by Sasuke himself, and this also meant that Sasuke was far inferior to the 7th Hokage by this time. This battle ended with Naruto's superiority, and Kawaki essentially delivering the ending blow to Ishiki. However, for Naruto, this was a huge loss, because it meant that he now lost access to Kurama completely. Meanwhile, Sasuke lost his Rinnegan, and both of them were without their biggest power-ups now. At this point, it can be argued that both Naruto and Sasuke were somewhat equal. However, Sasuke still held a major advantage over Naruto, given that he still had access to one of his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. This essentially meant that he could still use the powers of Amaterasu, Flame Control, Genjutsu, and even his full-body Susanoo. Meanwhile, Naruto only had access to his Sage Mode, which clearly was not up to the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. It can be said that, in many ways, Sasuke was stronger than Naruto after the loss of Kurama took place, but the difference in strength wasn't that big. If anything, by this point in time, the writers of the story would still find a way to make Naruto as strong as Sasuke. But what comes next essentially confirmed that Sasuke Uchiha went to surpass Naruto Uzumaki for good, and that the 7th Hokage would have to catch up, provided he manages to leave the dimension of Daikokuten later. Sasuke Uchiha officially surpassed Naruto Uzumaki in the two Blue Vortex era of the series. In Boruto to Blue Vortex, it was confirmed to the fans that Sasuke had gotten stronger. Once Omnipotence struck, Sasuke and Boruto escaped Konoha together, and their goal was to train to get stronger. Previously, fans believed that Sasuke only trained Boruto and that this was all for the sake of Boruto Uzumaki. However, the latest data book essentially confirms that both Boruto and Sasuke trained together and got strong during this time period. In fact, Sasuke likely raised his level of strength dramatically during this time, the proof of which came during his fight against Code. Fans must remember that after having his limiters removed, Code should be as strong as, if not stronger, than Jigen. Jigen was able to manhandle both Naruto and Sasuke together at the same time, and that was when these individuals had their strongest powers. Naruto still had access to Kurama and Sasuke still had access to the Rinnegan. Despite that, they couldn't even scratch Jigen. Yet, during the two Blue Vortex time skip, Sasuke was able to put up a fabulous fight against Code and take one of his eyes from him, despite the latter having the advantage of multiple claw grimes. Eventually, Sasuke sacrificed himself to preserve Boruto Uzumaki and was taken down by the claw grimes. But the fact is that he was able to push Code into a corner, whereas in the battle against Jigen, he wasn't even able to scratch him. Clearly, the indication here is that Sasuke has grown dramatically in terms of strengths during the time skip. Right now, he is far stronger than Naruto Uzumaki, which means that if the 7th Hokage does return to the series, he will have to train himself incredibly hard and grow stronger.